This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the Buffalonian division of the Castsource Podcast Network. A podcast network built by Buffalonians for Buffalonians, featuring the Wings of Blue Cheese podcast and the Buffalonian Podcast, with more shows on the way very soon. Find these shows wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or simply visit our website posted in the episode description. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Bills, Sabres, hot takes, and more. The Buffalonian Podcast. All right. Let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie, and as always, I'm joined by none other than Dom Loss. And Dom, tough week to be a Buffalo sports fan. The Bills win. Sure, it's an ugly win, but they win. And the Sabres are 0-2 to start their season. Tampa Bay, they play tonight. We'll talk about that. But first, let's get into this Bills-Giants matchup where it was no score on the Bills side of things for three quarters. So just general thoughts before we dive in. What was your reaction at the end, like after that game ended?
Just a very unenjoyable game to watch.
Yeah.
Very unenjoyable. You almost, at the end of the game, feel incredibly ungrateful because, you suffer through 15 years of the drought, just begging them to, consistently win games. And then when they win, it's also not good enough to, please you. So, I don't know, felt a tad bit, ungrateful for my past self that went through all that suffering to now be, kind of, I don't know, greedy is the right word, but, kind of, I'm going to keep using the word ungrateful for the win, but at the end of the day, it is better to be 4-2 than 3-3. There is a lot to talk about, a lot to take away.
Yeah.
Lot to learn from this game, but at the end of the day, this is a game that the Bills have been very inconsistent on winning a lot of the time.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Unfortunately, it was, they lost 3 of these kind of games. Minnesota last year, the Jets. Even you could talk about the Dolphins. So, yeah, they're incredibly inconsistent winning these games, and
that's been a criticism for years, though. Winning close games for the Bills. That Titans game a couple years back, where they slip in the right on the goal line. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they had a couple of moments. I felt like last year they kind of
quieted that,
got out of that burden because they were able to win some close games. But this year, obviously, this is the first close win, first win under 28 points.
Yeah.
So. It's nice to get a close win. Do I wish it was a different opponent and a more quality? The Buffalo Bills did not play how they should.
No.
They are a far more better team than they showed on Sunday night.
Oh,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Without a question. With that being said, this is the National Football League. It is a week-to-week league.
Any given Sunday.
Those guys get paid to,
off the couch, even they get paid to play.
Yeah,
so
those guys get paid too. Prime time game, a little more animosity than I think we even realized between Dable and McDermott. So I think that might have played a part as well. But listen, the Niners won on the road, lost to the Browns. The Eagles won on the road, lost to the Jets. This is an ugly win, but we're not saying it's an ugly loss. It's an ugly win, and that's the most important thing to say. But also, I think there are some concerns that need to be talked about.
Yep, absolutely. And, I assume, I'm not going to go too in-depth here because I assume the Dom 5 is going to be touching on some of those concerns. And I think, in my opinion at least, the OC is one of them, kind of. But I don't know if that's in the Dom 5 or not. So we'll have to wait and see and comment there. But there were a couple highlights that I wanted to go over today. We didn't do any last week because it was just abysmal losing to the Jaguars in London. But this week we have some standouts. So first, our boy AJ Epinesa again, repeat performances every week, splash plays, sacked Tyrod Taylor, former Bills quarterback who actually had a great night. But AJ Epinesa gets in there, doesn't get a taunting penalty somehow, even though he's just standing over the top. He teabagged Tyrod. So, there's no way, in my opinion, that ends up without a taunting penalty, but it did. AJ Epinesa, you just love to see it, though, don't you? He's been really, really proving himself this season so far.
Yeah, was the highest graded Bills defender
Mm-hmm.
last week, and he's been now the ninth highest graded edge according to PFF. So yeah, he's having a breakout year, and it's definitely seems we saw Biggie Basham in the game, so it seems like they made the right decision keeping AJ over him.
Yeah, and that was a decision that was questioned by actually many, if you remember, when we didn't let go of AJ Epinesa, and I know our producer's got the Epinesa jersey, so he's hyped for it. But next highlight, we skip to the fourth quarter, the start of the fourth quarter. Deontay Hardy, what a beautiful, well-designed play, schemed open, and just flawless execution by Allen, getting it out quick. Nice little dance in the end zone there. Those are guys we got to see more of. Hardy, in my opinion, he's showing out this season. He's doing what he needs to do. Dawson Knox, we'll talk about that, though, as we get closer. But it's nice to see Deontay Hardy getting involved and grabbing the first touchdown of the Bills in the fourth quarter of this game.
Yeah, we've seen iterations of that play a lot. I think you saw on the 2-point conversion against Jacksonville, but that was Shakir, and he wasn't quite timed right and didn't seem to accelerate. But yeah, it's a nice scheme play. It's good to end a 17-play drive with 6 points in the lead.
That's the Bills offense we're used to seeing. 17 plays, running time off the clock, executing all the way down the field, and getting into the end zone. This play, though, no one was schemed. This is on the fly. Who are you kidding? You think, pressure coming all around, scrambling, dodging pressure, threads the needle right to Quentin Morris. First reception on the season is a touchdown, if I'm correct. Dawson Knox literally just smothers them in the end zone. Like, come on. You love to see that. Chris Collinsworth was the commentator the other night. A lot of people mute the TV when it's Collinsworth, as far as I know. He was flabbergasted by that play because there was such a small window for Allen to be able to adjust, and more good on Morris for improvising on the fly and getting open in the end zone so he could thread the needle to him.
Yeah, Morris playing on a bum ankle after injuring it the first few plays before. He was the highest grade player offensively for the Bills according to PFF.
Yikes.
So not the greatest person to have that, but first target of the year, first touchdown. I think that's a pretty good usage rate. But it's just a Josh being a superhuman, making a big time throw. Some people would say it's unnecessary, but listen, man, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. We died by the sword against the Jets. We
live by the sword against the Giants.
The
two New Jersey teams. Yeah. We live and die by the sword. Listen, that's what people hate and love, like you said, about Josh Allen. He takes those chances. That, to me, even if it was a pick, I would have been frustrated, but good on you for just improvising and getting it into the end zone, attempting to. But we don't even have to think about that because it was a threaded needle touchdown. Final highlight is the last play of the game. They have an untimed down from a Terrell Bernard, absolute massacre in the end zone. And Taron Johnson, was it holding? Was it not? It wasn't called. So the game ends 14-9 Bills. We then see Dable and McDermott meet on the field for maybe a half second. Maybe some bad blood there. We don't know.
Maybe.
And then he goes over to hug Allen. I mean, crazy ending to a horrific game for 3 quarters, and then the Bills, on the surface, the Bills scoring 14 points in the second half, second half, seems okay, but then you see it's all in the fourth quarter, and they didn't do anything for the first 3, and you're just kind of like, okay, you know what I mean? It's just, I don't know.
Yes and no. I think in the second half, Josh went 11 for 12. They moved the ball. The only incompletion was the incompletion on 3rd and 8 to seal the game. And
Dawson.
Not a great throw. Could have been a better throw. Still a catchable ball that needs to be caught. So I think offensively they were pretty good in the second half. I think it's the score of 0 points in the third doesn't really, if you watch the game, doesn't scare me because they scored on the first play of the fourth quarter. So really that whole 10-minute drive was in the third quarter, and they just happened to score in the fourth quarter. Had another nice 12-play drive in the fourth quarter, and then just poor execution on that 3rd and 8, and they would have been able to clinch the game without any of that. But listen, man, the Bills got the job done. Was it PI? Honestly, the refs didn't call it, so it's not.
But, if we're being honest,
if I was,
we're talking to Jersey there.
If I was completely honest, it was probably PI. Waller may have been pushing off a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think they let the dogs play, and Thank God they did, and we end up with a win.
Well, here's the thing, okay? At least the Bills' defense has the wherewithal to take a defensive penalty and stop them from catching the ball because game can't end, right? And if you keep doing that, so arguably, I mean, when 13 seconds happen, all right, we're gonna take a trip back for a minute. I would have, if I were Leslie Frazier, I would have been like, start holding at the line, just grab them, and just run the clock down, do it every play, and then till the end, you just have to stop one play. Luckily, it didn't get called. Even if it did again, you have another chance. Like you're just you're buying yourself time, tiring that offense out from having to retry this and rerun these routes. But good on Bernard for just taking one in the end zone there to keep the game going. So. That would have been a catch if he didn't do that. So that saved the game right there. And the unsung hero taking the penalty for the team. So when you hear untimed down, you're like, oh, come on, really? We're giving it to him? But I think there was more thought behind it than what people are letting on to,
They let the dogs play.
Yes, they let him play.
All right, it's time for the Week 6 edition of the Dom 5.
Here we go.
The 6th edition, whatever, I don't know.
Episode 6.
I don't know. I don't like that. I like edition. I think the 6th edition. Here we go. Take number 1. A win is a win. As you can see from Josh's face, a little humorous. Listen, the Bills are 4-2. They're still a game back in Miami. They got the win. Is it a win that inspires a lot of confidence in me? No. Honestly, probably not. But I think this is a growing experience. I think we have to understand that we're only a third of the way through the season. We're 6 games in.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a game that you wish the Bills were more dominant? Absolutely. But we saw a lot of good teams lose. There's a lot of parity in the NFL right now.
Yes.
And being 4-2, I think anyone would take being 4-2 through 6 games. And listen, the Bills now have this, I don't want to say season-defining stretch, but they have a soft spot in their schedule of at New England, that's a winnable game.
Very
Thursday
winnable.
night against the Bucs. The Bucs are a good opponent, but that's at home prime time. You should win that. They're gonna have a tough one at Sunday night in Cincinnati, but then you have Monday night against Denver, followed by a game against the Jets, which may be difficult, but that's a home game. So, and then you play the Eagles, and that's really the hard schedule, the defining part. But these next 5 games, the Bills can really take advantage of this stretch and go 4-1. That would be really important for them to potentially keep pace with the Dolphins in the AFC East. So
Dolphins are bound to drop another game. Like that's you know what I mean?
They're not going to go 16-1.
Right, exactly. And with that defense, they're gonna implode at some point.
A win's a win. Mm-hmm. They got the job done. Wasn't always pretty, but the Chargers lost a tough game last night. I mean, a lot of good teams have been faltering, and the Bills are able to get the job done.
Yeah.
So.
Listen,
you gotta give
complaints.
Them some props for that, but there's complaints.
Well, complaints, but no complaints about a win in the win column for me.
Sure. Second of the Dom 5. Really just baffling field position decisions by McDermott. Really has been all year. I haven't loved what McDermott has done going for on 4th down when he's punted and when he's hit field goals. I think this is the first year in a little bit where I've been a little frustrated by McDermott's decision-making with the field decisions. I want to allude to really on three drives. So first quarter, they're down 3-0. They get to the Giants' 37-yard line, and then they go incompletion, no yard gain on a catch, incompletion. And then they punt 27 yards to the 10. So they weren't going to kick a 50-yard field goal. My frustration there is this. If you knew 54 was kind of out of the range, I would have liked to see better play, maybe run the ball so you could get into field goal range or get some yards. You need to do a better job of executing, especially if that was... I don't mind the decision to punt there.
No.
I mind the decision of if you knew at the 37 was no good, you need to find a way to execute offensively to at least get 5 more yards to then allow the field goal to happen. So that was one where it's like, okay, that was poor offense where I don't understand the situation to do that. And then, but what I don't understand later in the same, well, I'm just double check this real quick, but I believe it was the same quarter, maybe the second quarter, they kick a 52-yard field goal. So again, you get 1st and 10 at the Giants 37, you run for 3 yards, incomplete. Very inefficient offense, and then you're in that range of, do you go for it, do you kick the field goal, you punt, you kick the field goal, and you miss.
Right.
So that's like another situation where it was like, okay, now you just gifted the Giants really good field position now. I would have liked to see them kind of go for it there in that situation, I think. But for them to go for it, on 3rd and 7, they should have probably ran the ball, get it to 4th and 4, 4th and 3, and then I would have went for it. Especially if they didn't think 54 was good. I don't understand how they thought 52 might be any better.
Yeah, right. 2 yards isn't going to make or break that.
That's just between Dorsey and McDermott. It didn't feel like and Tyler Bass, those three just did not seem to be on the same page of what is the range tonight, or what are we okay with. I know you're down 3-0 at that point, but then you get to them good field position and they kick the field goal. And then my last decision is the last drive of the game.
Yeah.
3rd and 9. It's a good play call, good play design, poor execution by Allen and Dawson Knox. Whatever. Some people were complaining about Dorsey for calling that because then the Giants they stopped the clock. Giants didn't use the timeout. I thought that was stupid.
I didn't drop past.
I did not like the decision to kick the field goal because you missed the field goal and now the Giants need 57 yards and a minute and a half, one timeout.
Mm-hmm.
That's just too much time, not for a long enough drive. Again, you're at the 36. If you punted from the 37 and you missed from the 34, I know the situation is, if you made the field goal there, you're up 8, so you're guaranteed at least overtime if they somehow drive, score a touchdown, and go for 2-point conversion. I just would have, in my opinion, I know I love Tyler Bass. We've been really hyping him up.
No, and he's been great all season.
He's been great, had a bad game.
Yep.
But in that situation, I would have liked to see the Bills punt the ball and try and get them in. I mean, you're punting from the 36. You could get the ball inside the 10. Like, make them go 90-plus yards in a minute and a half, one time out. Instead, you make them go 57 yards, and they go 56 yards, and we're 1 yard shy of it. So I thought that was really poor, because then all of a sudden you miss it, you're 57 yards on a touchdown from losing the game. I thought that decision was poor. That was just a poor decision. And then the two other ones is just Dorsey and McDermott have to be on the same page of being like, hey, like, we are in field goal range right now. We need to get closer. And there needs to be like a more aggressive, like, hey, on 3rd and 7, we don't need to pick up the first down. Let's run the ball or do a conservative play call that gives us 3 to 4 yards. So then we're in 4th and 3, 4th and 4, and then we'll go for it because we don't want to kick a long field goal. It was just, it was a weird game.
Yeah, you're right.
3 drives that you get no points and you are in.
You're gifting
15
the Giants.
You're about 15 yards in Giants field position in the Giants territory.
Yeah,
that's just bizarre coaching right there.
Yeah, and you're gifting Dable, like you said. They got down to the 1 yard line at the end of the game. Like it came down to that. Like if they had to go 90 yards, they might not have even gotten that far. And you're putting the game on the line for, I don't know. I'm with you on that though. That's just it did seem a little wild at times, decision wise, what was going on.
That those three decisions, how those 3 drives ended was a coaching failure on what your philosophy was going to be. If your philosophy was we are going to not kick those long field goals, they should have been like, okay, so we need to get closer to 4th down range so that we could go for it instead of, or just punt. But yeah, I didn't. Those 2 decisions were poor. But going to the third of the down 5. Excuse me. But offense needs to wake up sooner. Obviously, second half offense really good. 17 play touchdown, 12 play touchdown. Dorsey I don't think is at fault for the 3rd drive failing. I think that was more of the player's execution. But the first half just insanely poor.
Yeah.
A missed field goal. You get down. You can't execute when you get into Giants territory. It feels to me like it was a little bit of the opposite of the Jags game where they just kind of got away from the run. And the run was working. It was being really consistent for the most part. And I don't know. I felt like they got away from it. And listen, it's a situation where no one, after the Davis fumble, you have a fumble, two turnovers and a missed field goal in the first half, just really poor. That gave the Giants really good field position. I think that was really a huge thing in this game is that the Giants really dominated the field position battle. I mean, the Giants, missed 2 field goals, so they start at the 42.
Yep.
The interception was they got it around the 40, their own 40. The fumble was around midfield. Like, the Bills did everything wrong in field position to let a terrible offense get going. And they're lucky the defense made stops. We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But just poor play calling, I think, in the first half to go away from the run. I thought it was a little bit too dig-centric. I think they really did miss Dalton Kincaid. I know Dalton Kincaid may not be being used a lot, but I think they missed his presence out there because he does so much to attract a defense.
Yeah, he
And
creates a lot of separation, gets people on their toes. So
And for me, it's a situation where I think we have to have a serious conversation about Gabe Davis and the fact of, is he playing too much is he playing too much where he's not going to be effective enough? If they lowered his snap count, would he become more effective? And would someone else like Deontay Hardy, who takes the extra 10 snaps from Davis, could they be more effective that way?
Right.
I think that's because Diggs is Diggs. Diggs is going to have a high snap count. He's going to be highly effective. I think for me, I'm starting to get in the situation of Davis needs to
wake up.
Davis, not wake up. That's wrong. Davis's snap count, I think, needs to drop because I think if his snap count dropped, I think he'll be fresher and more effective. And then it gives you the opportunity to give snaps to Deontay Hardy, who I think they need to give more snaps. I didn't think Shakir was that bad either today, but
no, Shakir actually had a good
me.
play. It's just, I don't know, like the Gabe Davis thing. Yeah, the fumble, whatever. Like you said, it was very dig centric. And while your offense is going to be, he's your number one wide receiver. For me, I would have definitely liked to see some scheming of other people. The second half, you saw that. Deontay Hardy gets that touchdown. Quentin Morris, that wasn't schemed necessarily, but scores a touchdown. Like, you have other playmakers on this team. Let's not just like, oh, we need to throw it to Diggs. Go. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I get it. I do. He's your number one wide receiver. He's a top talent wide receiver in the NFL. But scheme other guys in there, and I that's what I would like to see more of. And I get it. Knox dropped the pass at the end.
We'll see. I think
stuff.
they really missed Kincaid, but I think they needed to go a little bit more into the ground game. And they did that in the second half, which allowed them to be in. I mean, they lived in second and medium, and third and manageable. In the first half, it felt like third and 10s, third and 9s they needed to convert. And that's just, even how good the Bills' offense is, that's not where you want to be in the National Football League. But going to the number 4 of the Dumb 5. Red zone dominance saves the Bills, both offensively and defensively. The Bills had 2 drives in the red zone. They come away with 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
The Bills' defense allowed 5 red zone possessions. They gave up 3 field goals with a stop at the end of the both halves. That's what won them the game. They won the game because the offense went 2 for 2 in the red zone, and the defense held. After giving, all the drives really was mostly poor field position except the first drive after the touchdown in the fourth quarter, but the second drive of the half of the Giants was the one drive where I thought the defense struggled, but the defense came up with big plays. Obviously, bad teams make bad decisions, and that's what the Giants did, and the Bills were able to capitalize on them, but the Bills were creative in the red zone. It's a big moment. The red area is big in tight games like this. It's going to, and the Giants had 5 drives, no touchdowns.
Right. Yeah, the Bills defense held them completely out of the end zone and just the 3 field goals for 9 points. So you can't complain about the Bills defense at all. I mean, there were some things, you can nitpick if you really want to, but that defense is the reason why the Bills were even in that game in the second half, able to score 2 touchdowns and go ahead, like that's truthfully it.
I think it's a situation where the Bills defense gave up some big runs in the second half. I think they gave up some pass plays, but honestly, it was pretty decent coverage. Tyrod actually, again, one of the better deep ball, underrated elements of his game is the deep ball.
Yeah. Some beautifully thrown deep balls.
Threw it really well. But at the end of the day, the Bills' defense stood tall in the red zone. They got big plays. Obviously, the Giants shot themselves in the foot with the clock management and some penalties. But
yikes.
5 drives in the red zone and 9 points is not efficient football, and it's a heck of a job by the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. You can't discount it.
On to the last of the Dumb 5. They need to figure out an offensive identity outside of Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Now, I think they are making what is semi hurting this offense too is that I believe they're making a constant effort not to have Josh run. If you see all the rushes, the attempts, the designed runs, they're all extremely low on rate and how many times he's done it through
Right.
6 weeks. I think that's a situation where when I talked about how when Philadelphia, the Chiefs, I think when we get into December, I think playoff football, when it's all on the line, I think we're going to see that element, which is exciting. But if they're going to purposely not have that element into the offense because they want to keep 17 safe for the rest of the year, they're going to have to add something else. I think they could be a little bit more creative in the run game, a little more end arounds. The Bills just have never developed a screen game. Like, it's
Nope.
unbelievable. The Bills get killed on screens constantly,
Yeah.
and they could never. I don't remember consistently them executing a really good.
They get one every so
screen.
often, and that's it. Like, there's no consistency in the screen game.
There's no consistent screen game. The running game has been pretty good other than the Jags game. James Cook ran for 5 yards a carry. I thought Latavius Murray was really solid for most of the game. It's a situation where, again, does Davis's, I don't want to say role, but does Davis's snap count have to decline and Hardy's has to increase? And then obviously, I think when Kincaid comes back, I think he's going to start exploding.
Yeah, I hope so. I
yeah.
mean, that would be exciting to see.
They need one of Knox or Kincaid, or really both, to really start to stop their production to step up. I think for the most part, they're doing the right thing. Like, they're clearing out coverages for other people. They may not be getting the targets, but they're impacting the defense. But I think they really need one of those two guys to really start to become a serious threat in the passing game to add another element to this offense. And again, the Bills lost last year because too much on Josh Allen, too much on Stephon Diggs' plate, and through 6 weeks, the only thing that's really different right now is the running game is significantly better. I think the O-line is better.
Yep.
So I think what they need to do is they need to figure out how to get the secondary players to play more effectively.
Yeah, that's going to be major. And, we kind of alluded to that a few minutes ago, just throughout the Dom 5. It's just Allen Diggs-centric works, yes, but you need variation in there. You need to see Gabe Davis. And like you said, maybe lowering his snap count could increase his production. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. Getting Deontay Hardy involved, please. When Kincaid comes back, like you said, Dom, you can see him explode. Him and Knox both are very, very, like, they're able to catch passes, and they should both be utilized as such. Knox is being paid like he can, and he's not being schemed in a lot necessarily, and that's, I guess, where the frustration with Dorsey may be a little bit. Like, I'm not like riding the Dorsey hate train. Like, if you see Twitter, it's fire Dorsey, all that stuff. But I mean, the scheming, just get a little more creative with different people. That's all I would say at this point.
Yeah, I think it's just a situation where it's a little bit on Allen, it's a little bit on Dorsey, and it's a little bit just on natural execution. Sometimes the play is perfectly covered, so you gotta give credit to the defense.
Right.
But
yeah.
I think for the Bills to take the next step offensively and become a more consistent offense, I think they're going to need to have those secondary weapons become more consistent. Listen, 2 weeks ago they put up 48 points.
Yep.
And they took the dogs off really in the last quarter of football. So I don't think there's anything to be super concerned about now.
This might be a little low.
It's a little bit of the classic lull. I mean, listen, I think it's frustrating that the Bills throughout the McDermott era have been incredibly inconsistent. In October and November, we saw it in 2021.
Yeah, last year.
They started off 4-1, and then all of a sudden they're 7-6. Last year they were 5-1.
Yeah. After the second half of the Green Bay game, things
were
really.
They 5-1 or 6-1?
I don't know if I remember.
Whatever, and then all of a sudden they're 6-3, so they dropped to.
Jets in Minnesota, right? Those two close ones.
Yeah. I mean, this year they already dropped one to Jacksonville, and they dropped one last week. Excuse me. So, I think it's even in 2020 they started off 4-0 when we're 4-2, and they had that kind of lull too where they weren't even playing that well, and then they lost on the Hail Murray, and then
Yikes.
the situation kind of changed. But I think that's the frustrating part right now is the Bills need to become more a consistent football team on the offensive side.
Yeah, I think they'll reawaken. I really do. I don't listen. It's not anything. It's not doom and gloom right now. It's the same situation as not the same situation, but it's the same thing we said in week 1. Like there's a lot of football ahead, and they got to win in the win column at the end of the day. So building off of that, which I think they'll do. We have a lot more exciting Bills football to watch as the year goes on. And I don't think there's anything to really panic about as of right now. So
yeah, I think it's also a situation, talking a little bit more defensively, they're kind of finding their footing as well with all the injuries. I thought Dorian Williams played a solid game.
he did 10 tackles, right?
So, yeah,
Something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I thought he was really solid. I thought Bernard played a really solid game too, and I thought the D-line was pretty solid for most of the night. We're going to see Vaughn, I think, he had 20 snaps against Jacksonville, 27 against the Giants. So we're going to start seeing him kind of get ramped up here. And, when he starts to get going, that's going to be another, player to the defense. And then I didn't think Elam was terrible, but I didn't think he was great either. So, getting Dane Jackson back over Elam, I think is going to be an upgrade for this defense. And I thought Benford was solid. I mean, he made the big play on 4th down, the pass breakup, and I had to say I think this was the best game of Jordan Poyer's season. So I think that's another really highlight thing to talk about is if Jordan Poyer is starting to get more comfortable with that knee, more healthy, having him and Hyde back there to help out those young corners, and then Taron Johnson's just he is a dude.
Yeah, he's our guy. I mean, you knew he was though since the beginning. I mean that a couple years back. That pick 6 in the divisional round against Baltimore, he's always had that dog in him. So
I have something fun to ask, more trivia based.
Okay.
Josh Allen is now 5-0 in his career on Sunday Night Football. He is now 7-0 on NBC. Can you name? He's beaten 6 teams. 7-0 on NBC. Can you name the 6 teams?
There's no way. I won't be able to. I'm telling you that right now. I can tell you one, the Giants.
Okay, the Giants.
Take it back now. Sunday Night Football. The Bears?
No.
No, I have no idea.
No idea?
No, I won't be. I can't go back that far to specific
All
games.
right, so he's 5-0 on Sunday night. He's played 4 teams in Sunday Night Football. He's beaten the Steelers in 2019, the Steelers in 2020. He's beaten the Chiefs in 2021. He's beaten the Green Bay Packers in 2022. And he's obviously beaten the Giants in 2023. He also, on Thursday, NBC opening night game, he beat
the Rams.
The Los Angeles Rams.
I forget the first game of the year is not prime.
And in 2020, they played a playoff game against the Baltimore Ravens on NBC. And beat them 17-3.
Yeah, that's Taron Johnson's return game.
Taron Johnson's return game. Mm-hmm. So he is 7-0 on NBC.
That's a major stat. I mean that I didn't again can't go back for whatever reason. I can't. The Green Bay, yeah, but no, that's crazy. 7-0 on NBC. That's cool.
You also know that the Bills, coming up now on November 5th, have been very successful playing teams that they play in the playoffs. The last couple of years when they've played them again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you know the team that they lost to?
That they beat in the playoffs?
They play in the playoffs, and then the next time they play them, they lost.
Beat them, or...
Doesn't matter if they beat or lost. Next time they play them in the playoffs, they lost to them. Can you name the team? From 2019 on.
From 2019 on. Let me think. The Jaguars? No, that was Tyrod. No. That was before Allen.
Well, it was 2017 on. It's still incorrect. I'll just. So 2017 they lost the Jags. Next time they played them was 2018, and they killed them with Josh Allen.
Mm-hmm.
2019 they lost to Houston. Next time they played Houston was 2021. They won 40-0.
That's right. Because that was originally Tyrod's return game, and then he was injured.
2020 they played 3 teams. The Kansas City Chiefs, who they lost in the AFC title game. Mm-hmm. The following year they beat them in 2021.
Yep. Beat the Ravens.
The Baltimore Ravens in 2020. The 2022, they beat the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
2020, wild card, Super Wild Card. They played the Indianapolis Colts. They got slapped by the Colts in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only team they lost to. Because then, in 2022, they played the New England Patriots in the wild card. Beat them both times in 21, sorry. 21, they played the Patriots in the wild card. Beat them both times in 22.
Yep.
And then they lost to the Chiefs in 21. Beat them in 22. 23. And then the 2022 playoffs in the wild card, they played the Miami Dolphins. Beat them so far this year. And now they're going to play the Bengals. I guess they're going to play the Dolphins again, but if they lose, I'm not counting that in my stats. But we'll see what happens with the Bengals. I mean, listen, I'm saying, like, McDermott has had, for whatever reason, they've had
He's had a good revenge record.
Very good revenge record, or the only team. I mean, honestly,
did you just see the balloons come across the screen?
I did see that.
It's a celebration.
Thank
here.
you. I appreciate that. Sometimes we have fun. We have fun here on the Buffalonian podcast.
We try to.
Hopefully, you guys paused that for both. That's your trivia aspect of the pod. We haven't really done that much, but thought, what the heck,
Yeah. Well, do we want to get into the AFC East games and then head into some Sabres talk, pending their game against Tampa tonight?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. So we first go to the Dolphins and the Panthers. Dolphins were struggling in the first little bit there. They were. The Panthers were actually putting on a show. Then it was Tua to Tyreek the entire game. It was just they were cooking on all cylinders. They took it from them. Had Adam Thielen in fantasy. He had a couple big plays there. Helped out. The Panthers, not looking too bad with Bryce Young, but the Dolphins' offense is just overwhelming for a lot of teams. Defenses, unfortunately, they're very high flying, high scoring. And if your offense is subpar with a rookie quarterback, that subpar Dolphins defense will match up okay against it. So they eventually figured it out. Tua to Tyreek started happening. Tua looked great after the first, the discrepancies in the first few minutes. What did you think of that game?
I mean, the Dolphins just spotted the Panthers a quarter and still.
Yeah.
They didn't score another offensive point. Yeah. The only touchdown was a pick six. So, yeah, I mean, it's just one of those games where I don't think, even as a Bills fan, I didn't really think that even when they were down 14-0, that the Dolphins were out of the game at all, especially against the Panthers. And listen, it's a good win for the Dolphins. They took care of business. But now, listen, I really wish the Bills did the Dolphins and just not stomped on the Giants, but at the end of the day, both teams won 1-0 this week. They maintained their one-game division lead, and they have a big game coming up against the Eagles on Sunday Night Football.
Yeah, and the Eagles just lost to the New York
Jets.
Speaking of, yeah. Wow, what a game. Zach Wilson coming through. Now we can't hear anything from anyone about Zach Wilson beat Josh Allen. No, he beat the defending NFC champions as well. So, listen. Zach Wilson's got talent at the end of the day. Aaron Rodgers, just before we even go further, Aaron Rodgers is walking and throwing footballs on the field, and he ruptured his Achilles week 1. Like, we're 1 month out from that injury at that point. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, that's wild, first of all. But the Jets' defense is nothing to be messed with, and the Eagles found that out. Defensively, the Jets are super strong. From experience, the Bills experienced that week 1. Pressure on the quarterback. The interceptions. Jalen Hurts threw 3 interceptions, like to Josh Allen's 3 interceptions in week 1. It's just, the Jets are no joke, even without Aaron Rodgers. And that's the thing. At the end of the day, people are like, oh, the Bills lost to the Jets. Josh Allen lost to Zach Wilson. The Jets are a good football team. Imagine if they had Rodgers the entire year. Like, that's crazy to me.
The Jets have a solid football team. I hesitate to say good because
their defense is what makes them good.
Offensively, they still just have so. I mean, they're just injured now.
Right.
Elijah Vera Tucker going down. Obviously, no Aaron Rodgers. They're a good, solid football team. I wouldn't say good, but listen, it's a telltale sign in the National Football League. You can't turn the ball over.
Right.
And if you turn the ball over, you're gonna let the Jets are an inferior team to the Eagles, especially without their top 2 corners. And the Eagles turned the ball over and kept the Jets into the game. And eventually, you got to give credit to the Jets. They took advantage of those turnovers and were able to get enough points to win the game. And it's a bad loss for the Eagles because the Eagles now have the toughest 8-game stretch ever imaginable, starting with the Dolphins, and it doesn't end till week
Oh, they hit the Bills
15.
at one point too. So
I think their last 3 games are pretty easy, but the next 8 is going to be really a hard stretch for the Eagles. So, and especially because the Eagles already knew that the Niners already lost to the Browns, so that was a missed opportunity for them to kind of get a game up on everyone in the NFC. So, yeah, missed opportunity for the Eagles. You got to give credit to the Jets, though. I mean, they play really hard, and they were able to make some big-time plays defensively to put their offense in good situations.
Yeah.
And listen, they're a scary defense to play, but you cannot turn the ball over.
No.
Doesn't matter what team you play. It doesn't matter what offense you play against.
turnovers lead to points for the other team.
The Bills got lucky this last game with the turnovers and the poor play on the field position to survive, only give up 9 points.
Well,
the Eagles were not so lucky.
Listen, we knew that Bills game. I think we talked about it on Friday. It was 14.5-point favorites when we talked about it. The final line was 15.5. That was the Lego brick that's been sitting in the carpet for 4 months. You knew that was a trap game. We literally said that on Friday. Like that had the opportunity. That had an opportunity to be a trap game. We said.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't consider it a trap game because they're coming off a loss,
right? But it had the opportunity. It was closer than you think.
Coming off London, I guess, but those are just excuses. I mean, the Bills should have pummeled that team.
They should have.
There's no excuse. I mean, the Bills should have pummeled that team. But again, we talked about a win's win. We're moving forward. We don't, learn from the past, but we move forward.
We move forward.
We move forward to the New England Patriots.
But we'll talk more about that.
The Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Because the Patriots are the next team on the
Josh
Buffalo Bills schedule.
McDaniels 3-0 over Bill Belichick.
Yeah, just a pathetic game for the Patriots again. 19-17, had an opportunity to drive down the field and win the game. Safety, obviously Devontae Parker, just an unbelievable drop on a 40. One of Mac Jones' best plays all year, just drop. So, yeah, I mean, the Patriots really are not playing good football. They're 1-5 now. And
yeah. You know what? It's unfortunate about that game?
Nothing is unfortunate about this.
Oh, about that game? No, for Bill Belichick's sake.
No.
Brian Hoyer and Jimmy Garoppolo, right? Jimmy Garoppolo he went to get his back examined, right? But he's all right. Like, he's just out for a little bit. And then we have Brian Hoyer, too. The ultimate New England revenge game.
I don't care. Nothing's unfortunate about it. They deserve all of it.
They do. I'm not saying they don't. I'm just saying it's unfortunate for Bill Belichick.
No, it's not.
It is.
He deserves it.
As much as he deserves it, it's unfortunate for him. I don't feel bad for him. It's not
unfortunate. He caused it.
Put yourself in his shoes. It's unfortunate.
No, it's not, because he caused all of it. He's the GM, my boy. He's not like he's the coach and he's just being like a lamb off to slaughter. He signs Juju Smith-Schuster to
with an exploded knee.
With an exploding knee to the same contract that Jacoby Myers has for Vegas.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. He did it to himself.
It's Bill's fault that he has an outdated state of mind.
You think his job's on the line?
Yes, he's gone. He's gone after this year. Now,
you think?
Yes. Why would they keep him? They're going to go... Listen.
You think Belichick's gone?
I think... I don't want to get too heavy into it because I don't want to be like... get caught if the Bills somehow lose to this team. But this team is not good. I mean, just a fact. The Patriots are not a good football team this year. Their offense is just absolutely horrific. Their offensive line for the first time in a while is terrible. They can't get a ground game going. Their weapons actually suck. Mac Jones, who I don't think is terrible, but like he's not a ceiling raiser.
No.
He's kind of a guy that needs people around him to be successful, and he doesn't have diddly squat, and who to blame other than the coach, who happens to also be the general manager. So
I forgot he's also the general manager too.
And also Bill O'Brien maybe taking him some time to adjust back to the NFL game from the college game. Only 6 games, so I guess we'll see with that. But defensively, they have some banged up injuries, and again, not trying to get too much into a preview, but I mean, gosh darn, no, I don't want to hear a word.
We'll save
I don't
want to
hear
Friday.
Word from anyone saying, "Oh, it's unfortunate for Bill Belichick," or "Oh, sympathy for Bill Belichick." He's so.
That wasn't me giving him sympathy at all.
Close.
I mean, it was
he's
just
so close to who is it? Don Shula's record for most wins.
No.
Listen, my guy, congratulations. Andy Reid's going to pass you in a couple of years anyways. It don't even matter. It does not even matter, my guy. Just end it. You're tarnishing your legacy by continuing to just unable to adjust your scheme. And I think that is the big thing in sports, is that
you need to always be adjusting your scheme.
The game from the early 2000s is way different from now. It's the same thing in basketball. People, if you took a head coach from basketball in the 2000s, put him in a coma for 20 years, he'd wake up and go, "What the hell game are they playing?" Like, it's a completely different game. Like, look at baseball.
Yeah.
It's a completely different game. You don't see a starting pitcher go more than, like, 6 innings now.
No.
They used to pitch 200 innings a year. Now they don't. Like, 2 guys maybe get to that total. Sports constantly involved. Look at college football. Alabama. Where were they built up 10 years ago? Running game or good running backs, strong defense. They're winning national championships with A.J. freaking McCarron.
Yeah.
Now they have Bryce Young, Tua. They had Jalen Hurts. Nick Saban, who is buddy with Bill Belichick.
Yeah, he needs to get in his ear and
he
say,
involved.
"What are we doing, man?"
He involved, and now they kind of like they're caught a little bit. So their team's not that good. They're in a talent decline a little
There's
bit.
a lull right now.
Lull, thank you.
A
not
lull
decline.
in talent.
But it's a thing when every sport evolves. Bill Belichick has not evolved his way of thinking. He still believes, if we built it on these slow receivers, tight ends, and just defense, you're gonna win. No, you need an offense. Yes, defense wins championships.
You need an
defense
all talented receiver.
Defense is important in the playoffs. But if you don't have weapons for your quarterback's going to suck, especially if you drafted a quarterback that needs weapons to be successful. Every quarterback needs weapons to be successful. But Mac Jones is not a ceiling raiser. It's not like Mac Jones is Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, a guy that can be creative, can kind of has traits. Mac Jones is limited.
He's just a dude.
He's just a dude, and
like,
you can
that's
win
it.
with
At
him.
the end of the day, that's what he is.
You could win with him. They saw it. They won
his rookie season. They were winning with him.
They won 10 games.
Yeah,
and it's pathetic, man. And don't ever come back. Don't ever open your mouth. No. Don't ever open your mouth again and say it's unfortunate for Bill Belichick.
You're misunderstanding.
It is not. It is not unfortunate. It is great. It is glorious.
No, it is
something we've all been waiting for since we have been born in 2002. It's been 21 years. We have waited for this moment. This moment has finally come where the Patriots suck, and you're gonna tell me, it's unfortunate.
Listen, I'm not saying it's unfortunate. You're misinterpreting what I'm saying. It's unfortunate for Bill Belichick. He can't do his job anymore. That's what I'm saying.
It's not. It's
There's
great.
No pity.
It's glorious.
I'm not giving him
pity.
It is great. I'm not giving him any pity. I'm just
saying.
You
are. You just said it's unfortunate for him that he can't do his job. It is awesome. I wanted this dude is the biggest jerk in the NFL history.
I'm not supporting him at all.
You're giving him pity,
I'm
though.
fine with it. All I'm saying is it's unfortunate you can't coach a team. That's all I'm saying.
It's not though. It's not unfortunate.
Unfortunate. I'm not saying it's sad. It's upsetting. It's not. It's none of those things. It's fantastic.
It's glorious.
Like you said.
Glorious.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
It's not unfortunate though.
It's unfortunate for the people in New England.
Who the hell cares about the people in New England? They have 6 Super Bowls.
Listen. Okay. All right. I will not say unfortunate anymore.
The people in New England, oh my God, in our lifetime, the people in New England have what? Seen the Celtics win an NBA championship. Seen the Red Sox win 4 World Series. Seen the Patriots win 6 Super Bowls. Seen the Bruins win a Stanley What are you talking about?
No, they're done.
What are you talking about? It's unfortunate for the people in New England. Screw them. We can't even get one. Our hockey team can't even make the playoffs.
Listen, they're 1 point out from the playoffs last season. They're getting there. All right, they're the next dynasty. I'm telling you that right now. Speaking of, it's time for a content switch. That's probably the most heated I've ever seen Dom just go off on this show.
Yeah, she get you like a Bill Belichick hoodie and get him to sign for you and say thanks for your pity.
I don't have pity for Bill Belichick. It's just we're not even going to continue this conversation. We're going to sit here for 20 minutes just arguing that. But the Sabres, they're 0-2 on their season. They play the Tampa Bay Lightning tonight. But let's just talk about the Rangers game.
When you talk about the most important thing though, Owen Power.
Owen Power. Yes. He was post pod last week.
Yeah,
we did not catch his extension. 7-year contract, $8.35 million per year. Deserved. He's not scoring on his own goal anymore. That's now gone to Connor Clifton. So I think he's switched out of that role. So
that was good. That was a good one.
So listen, I'm all for getting the talent while they can, especially with the cap going up too. Would you, if you were him though, the possibility for a bridge? Like what Darlene did, the cap's going up, right? Like he could have definitely bridged his contract and waited for the cap to go up and get more money. Would you have done that if you were him? Would you try to negotiate that, or would you just take the money like he did?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit different from a Darlene contract. I feel like that was more fair for both teams. I think there's obvious value of the Sabres. This is a value contract from the Sabres. And if I was Owen Power's agent, I wouldn't have signed this contract.
No?
I just I think this guy has a lot of talent, and sure, is $8+ million a lot right now?
For him right
Is
now,
is
yeah.
is he is his value right now $8 million?
Some would say fortunate.
Some would say probably not. If we're saying right now, he's probably worth $6 million.
Yeah.
But this is the second year in the league.
Mm-hmm.
In 4 years, 25. How much money do you think he's going to be worth? Probably what, 10? Maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
If
10,
you
11.
if you believe in Owen Power like I do, and I think the organization does, I think the entire NHL believes in Owen Power.
And he wouldn't have gotten the contract.
He's
if
probably going to be worth $10 million.
Mm-hmm.
He's getting paid 8.35. I mean, that's a steal of a contract in 4 years. It's not a steal right now. I don't think he's quite worth 8 right now, but you're betting on his future. Also, you have another year left until he's actually paid 8. So.
Right. So if he breaks out this year, then you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like over the next couple of years,
this guy's a
you're
stud.
saving money.
This guy's a stud. You saw Jake Sanderson set the market, signing for 8.05 for 8 years. He kind of set the market for a guy that's after his rookie year going to go into his ELC ending, wants a contract. Jake Sanderson set the market. The Sabres then jumped on it pretty quickly after that. And listen, they get a fair contract for a player who's going to be an elite, borderline franchise defenseman when you already have one of those, having two horses on the blue line. I think we talk about this a lot. It's really important to win a Stanley Cup. You need to have dudes on the back end. You need to have elite dudes on the back end. The Sabres have two of them, and this is a good contract, man.
It is. No, I like it. I like Owen Power. I think
he also has the best hair on the team.
He's got the lettuce, man. It's just I like it. I like that he's signed. Like you said, the value is going to show in the next few years. The organization believes in him. I believe in him. You believe in him. Do you believe in him, Mooch? Okay, producer believes in him. I think everyone believes in Owen Power. I think we're going to get some good value.
The only person who I heard that doesn't believe in him is Bill Belichick. So
that's unfortunate. Some would say. I don't know. He's also a Swiftie, so whatever. Anyway, listen. Let's get into let's get into the two losses now. Okay.
Sorry.
The Bills and Sabres kryptonite are actual New York teams, except the Bills teams play in New Jersey. The Rangers, Sabres lose 5-1. Just not great.
Flat,
pitiful, unfortunate. Some would say. Tough loss. I listen. After that game, I was like, okay.
You need to erase that word
unfortunate
from your vocabulary.
Okay, I'll erase for the rest of this pod until the Bill Belichick thing's settled. We'll erase it. But
listen, special teams is a blunder. I mean, giving up a penalty kill, shorthanded goal, giving up a power play goal when there is no one guarding the guy in front. I don't know how the Sabres, year after year cannot have a league average penalty kill.
No, they don't.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's not like they don't have the dudes. It's like it's mostly system based. To not have a league average penalty kill needs to improve. I think throughout the two games, I think I'm mostly just gonna bunch the two games together because there's only been 2 games.
Yeah, that's also a big point I want to make. We have 80 games left on the season. Okay,
true. We're 141st of the way through.
It's a lot. You know what? You know where the panic is coming in, and then I'll let you make your point. Mm-hmm. The panic's coming in from a lot of Bills fans who are now realizing that the Sabres are actually, could be playoff bound this season. And oh no, we lost 2 games. There's not just 17 games in a season here. There's 82 in an entire season. So, you could drop a few. They dropped 8 games in the middle of November last year in a row, and we're 1 point away from the playoffs. So
yeah, but you don't want to listen.
We don't want to do that again.
I think the frustration for me is that this season is so important, and to start off pretty slow is pretty disappointing. Mm-hmm. Especially when you have your number one goaltender start both games. I didn't think Levi was bad.
26 for 30 against the Rangers. I mean,
881 save percentage, gave up 7 goals in 2 games. Not great. Also not terrible. I think defensively they've actually been pretty decent.
Yeah, not bad.
Really not bad. So I think to me that is a tough part of these 2 games, and why I think they'll rebound is really that they've lost the 2 games because the lack of offense, not because of they've given up all this quality against and the goaltending's been bad. I don't think they've given up a lot of quality against. They've been really quality defensively, and I think the goaltending's been all right. I don't think it's been the reason they've lost games. I think it's unfortunate that they've given up 7 goals of Levi, and it feels like 4 of them have been kind of tip goals and goalie, a goal off the skate of Clifton. There was a couple 2-on-1s. Obviously, you wish he could maybe stop that shot from Panarin, but Panarin's has one of the most premium shots in the entire National Hockey League.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's the offense that has really struggled, and so has special teams. And special teams needs to improve. Okay, here we go on this rant.
Here we go.
Thank God that Don Granato understands that it's 2 games into an important season and took Victor Olofsson to the bench.
Yes.
You are a dog. Get off this team. I cannot believe.
Golofsson is not a necessary name. Like, please stop. He scored open netters last season.
I cannot believe that we have players in the National Hockey League making barely $1 million, and this man is making $4.75 million. Easily the worst value contract on the entire team. Thank God it is 1 year left. This guy is terrible. Listen, the Peterka, Cousins, Olofsson line has been awful. In the short time they've played together, they have a little under 33% goals, expected goals, which is terrible. 50 is average. 50 is you have as much quality for as against. They're at 33%. Last year, in short time together, about 15 minutes on 5-on-5, they were at 40%.
Yeah.
So I don't know who thought that was going to work again. It didn't work last year. It didn't work this year. Thank God they've pivoted from it.
Yeah. They didn't try and fix it, or they just said, all right, we're done. Thank God.
Listen, I think it's frustrating. The top line has been frustrating too. I mean, I don't know if any of them really has a point. None of them has a goal. They need to play better. The third line has been amazing. Jordan Greenway is a man. Just an absolute unit.
Yeah,
of a man.
that's looking like one of the best pickups by this team right now.
He obviously was more banged up than I think any of us realized at the end of the last year. He's playing with Zach Benson. Saying this right now. If Zach Benson's play continues and he is sent down, if he plays good the next 7 games and gets to the 9-game plateau, and he's still playing really solid, I mean, he's a point-per-game player right now, 2 assists in 2 games.
He is.
And he gets sent down to WHL, we are going as the Buffalo Room podcast and having pitchforks, and we're gonna have blow horns.
Oh my God!
We're gonna be right next to the.
You're on a riot today. God,
I am loaded up. We are going to the game. I'm trying to get amped. We will have pitchforks because this guy's playing like one of the best players on the team right now. That line has been the best line on the team. I think the fourth line is whatever. It's just kind of always going to be, a low event style. I'm very excited to add Peyton Krebs to Cousins and Peterka because this is what makes no sense. And we're having this non-emotional conversation about Olofsson. Olofsson is a guy that offers you nothing in transition, and you paired him with JJ Peterka and Dylan Cousins. And what do they want to do? They want to fly. Mm-hmm. They want to go. That's why Greenway, Benson, Nelstad work so well together because they aren't super dominant in transition, but they can move the puck in transition, and all 3 of them are very good forecheckers.
Yes.
The fourth line, why does that work well together? Because Girgensons, Oposo, and Krebs can all play the cycle game. That fits their role. Mm-hmm. The first line, why does that work well together? Because the first line is also very much transition-based. That's why it's been frustrating the first 2 games when you play the 1-3-1, more than the neutral and trap, is because they take away your transition game, and that's why we've seen the top 2 lines struggle. But the main reason why the second line has struggled so much is because Victor Olofsson offers nothing in transition other than standing there and goes, oh, the puck's a little bit out of my reach. Ah, shucks, man. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm not going to do, though? I'm not going to help even put a little bit of effort defensively to get the puck back. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to stand in the slot and, my shoe's untied. I'll tie my shoe in the middle of play. Excuse me.
Lord, I was not expecting you to come in hot like this. I get it. It's Olofsson.
It's just pathetic. It is pathetic that they thought anything else was going to happen. But listen, I am proud of my Sabres, though, because they realized that this man cannot be counted on 2 games in.
Made a good roster
They've
move.
made an adjustment. I like Yost Yost can play the game of Oposo and Oposo and Girgensons, the cycle game.
Yep.
I also think he's a good penalty killer, so that adds a little bit more of a special teams element.
He was a good part of the penalty kill last year, too.
Yep, and I like Krebs getting a top 6 role opportunity. This is a big moment for Krebs. Krebs was really solid on the wing in the World Championships this year for Canada. I think this is a great opportunity to play with Cousins, play with Paterka. He'll add a little grit to that line, I think.
Yeah.
And he can play in transition. I think that line is going to start to boom. I think we're going to see the top line. I think a lot of people forget this. The top line last year got off to a slow start. I think Thompson's had like 1 goal in the first 5 games, maybe 6 games.
And it was immediately, this contract and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Yeah,
so
remember?
I think we're going to see the top line get going. At the end of the day, the Sabres need their stars to be stars.
Shine.
And right now, they really haven't been. I mean, Dahlin's been all right. He really hasn't been great. I think Power was bad game 1, good game 2.
We'll see
Again,
him wake up.
the top line hasn't been good. I thought Samuelson's played pretty decent so far.
Middlestat, he's showing out.
Again, no. That
That
line,
third line is the scoring line of the year so far.
and that's exciting.
Great.
That's exciting because I believe that the top line's going to get going. I believe that they could get the Cousins line going, and then you could get 3 lines plus your cycle line. Is very exciting.
Yeah,
it's just,
depth is here in the city of Buffalo on the Sabres.
It's just a situation where can Levi take his game up a notch? Because they're going to need him to. He needs to play a little bit better. I think the defense needs to take their game up. I think everyone needs to take the game up a notch.
Yeah.
Everyone, listen, game 1 is incredibly disappointing. That was a flat performance at home. Really unacceptable. Kind of is a little bit of what the Bills-Jets game was, the Steelers-Bills game a couple years ago. Maybe they didn't play enough in the preseason, so maybe they weren't ready. I don't really know the situation. Game 2, I'll put it this way. Game 2, the Sabres outplayed the Islanders. They just didn't come through in the big moments. And for whatever reason, with 7 minutes to go, Victor Olsen's on the ice, and guess what happens? A goal against.
Yeah.
Shucks, who could have thought that would be the case? But they made the necessary roster move. They got bullied into it by people on Twitter, who hopefully will be correct. And it's 2 games in the year. They played 2 games of the trap.
Yeah.
If the Sabres are going to be the team that we think they are, they need everyone to play a little bit better, and they need the offense to step it up. And I believe that will happen. I believe that happen. There's a lot of.
Do you believe in miracles? Is the real question.
It's not a miracle, but I believe in this team, and I believe that Zach Benson is a dog.
I do too.
And Zach Benson,
He's going to be a huge player in this team. And I listen. Just makes you excited, doesn't it? Seeing these, like a young guy like him. How was he? 19, 18 years old, something like that.
18. My only fear of him is this, is that him being so small and him playing the game he is. I just hope he can stay healthy. We'll see if he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
that's my only if. It's the same thing with Savoy. Savoy kind of plays that same way. We've seen Savoy have shoulder issues. Adding him back.
Benson likes to get chippy with the old guys. I love to see it.
Adding, again, this first whatever stretches without Jack Quinn, they have to be able to survive. And right now they're 0-2, but I believe in this team.
I do too. I believe.
Let's go to this week.
Yes, the Tampa Bay Lightning are tonight. We're going
on ESPN.
On ESPN, not a TNT game. It's not an ESPN Plus game, is it? Or is it just normal?
I think it's actually on ESPN.
Okay, cool. Stephen A might be commentating. Beware, the only thing he knows is the puck is black, though, so you might not get the best analysis. So come back here next week for it. Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Sabres tonight, and then the Calgary Flames are taking on the Sabres. That's Saturday or Thursday?
Thursday.
That should be a good game. Listen, the Sabres, any game's going to be a good game. You just got to hope you start seeing consistent play out of every line and see our top line start scoring. So that would be ideal. But I mean, what do you think they need to do? And then they play the Islanders again on Saturday.
And then they play Monday against Montreal.
Yeah, the Canadians. So we have 4 games that we're going to comment on next Tuesday.
Four home games. This is a big moment for this team.
Yeah.
A little 4-game against Tampa's really struggled defensively.
Right.
Calgary's not great defensively. Obviously, New York is strong, but Montreal is not. So 3 out of the 4, you're playing teams that really struggle defensively.
So this is where your offensive starters can start going. Like, you want to see that out of these games.
Let's pick it up.
Yeah.
Obviously, on next week, Tuesday, they play in Ottawa, too. We won't cover that game because obviously it won't happen, but that's a back-to-back. So This is a huge stretch for the Sabres to get. We're gonna know a lot more. Listen, we're only at a 2-game sample.
Yeah.
We're gonna be at a 6-game sample next week, and that will be very telling.
You'll see what the team's really about after. Well, not really like full on, but you'll see more of what the team's about.
This is a stretch where the Sabres have to get back to 500 after 6 games. They have to be at worst 3-3.
And I think they could beat the Islanders though. In all seriousness, it was 2-3, right? It was
3-2.
3-2. It was an attainable game for them.
All
they were playing rowdy the entire game. It's just they need their offensive starters to actually kick into gear and go. That would change it.
The Sabres can be any team in the NHL. This is just going to be, I think, things to look at in this stretch are offensive. What does the lineup changes do? Does the Cousins line take the step? Does the Yost line solidify? Do we see the stars become stars? Do we see Dylan Cousins step up? Do we see Alex Tuch step up? Jeff Skinner, Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin, Owen Power. Do they take their games to the next step? And how is the goaltending situation going to play out? Because Levi's obviously not going to play all 4 games. He's played the first 2. He's playing tonight. He was in the starters net tonight, I believe. So that's 3 in a row. Comrie was the backup game 1. UPL was the backup game 2. It's going to be interesting to see which one of those 2 gets the first game that's non-Levi, and then how many games does Levi play? I would say out of the 4, I would assume he plays 2, and each of them gets 1. And we'll see. I would assume that I would assume that he's playing tonight. I'd assume one of them gets the Calgary game. I think Levi might get New York, and I think the other one gets Montreal, because then you have Ottawa and back-to-back. So I think Levi will get one of those games, and the backup will get the other. So maybe Levi starts 2 games, someone starts 2, and someone starts 1. We don't know how they're doing. I wouldn't have expected him to get 3 straight starts to begin the year, but here we are, and listen, we're excited to check it out. Tampa as a team that's 1-2. Obviously, without Vasilevsky, I don't know if Stamkos is playing tonight. He wasn't on the skate. It's a good opportunity to be a division rival, get in the win column, especially at home. I thought for a chance that we were going to see the first goal at home, because I thought they were going to get shut out by the Rangers, but J.J. Peterka said no to that.
Nope. Yeah, Peterka put his foot down on that one. Listen, I think we're in for a good game tonight. I think the rest of the games this week are going to be entertaining games. The Sabres can win.
Except the Islanders game. That game will be boring because the Islanders play the trap because they're losers.
Right. So 3 of the 4 games will be entertaining.
I think we're going to see some high scores. I think we're going to see 5 goals. I think if I would predict the week, I think the Sabres are going to go 3-1.
You think we'll see a touchdown and an extra point anywhere in there?
Oh yeah,
7.
I think they get 7. My bold take. The Sabres score 7+ in one of these next 4 games. I think they're going to go 3-1. I think we're going to be sitting here Tuesday going into Ottawa 3-3, and I think the leading point scorer for the Buffalo Sabres through 6 games will be Casey Middlestat.
Okay, I love that. I'm hopping on it. Casey Middlestat.
No, you can't. No, you cheeser. You can't steal my thunder.
Listen, no, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, but pick a new one.
Fine, I think Tage Thompson goes off.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
think he cooks.
I think he'll be the leading goal scorer.
Yeah.
I think he scores 5 goals in 4 games.
Middlestat will probably have a bunch of assists. Greenway, that whole line is, I think, going to still cook though. Like, there's no question about it. If they already look as good as they do, and they're producing, and they continue to over these next 4 games, there's no question in my mind that that you will be correct on that. But Tage will probably be the leading goal.
Let's put it this way: Jeff's looking at points. Jeff Skinner, $9 million, no points. Victor Olofsson,
the Skinner contract is always brought up.
Victor Olofsson, $4.75 million, no points. Dylan Cousins, 7+, no points. Tage Thompson, 7+, no points. Alex Tuch, nearly $5 million, no points. Rasmus Dahlin, 1 point.
Through 2 games though.
It'll even 2 games. I'm saying it's through 2 games, but I'm saying if you wanna blame people why the Sabres have not won a game in their first 2 games, it's because their stars have played like dog. And their stars need to play like stars, not dog. They didn't have that dog in them, but they need to play like stars. Yeah. It also just honestly doesn't help you that they just punted the first 2 games having Victor Olofsson in the top 6, but
yeah, unfortunately. But
hopefully I'm hopeful, praying to the gods. We either see tonight Devin Levi's first career shutout or Zach Benson's first career goal?
I think we could see
I
both.
hope one of them.
How
We
about we
almost
see
saw
both?
Jack Quinn's first career goal. We saw Devin Levi's first career win
We
last
saw, yeah, didn't we see? Well, we saw Owen Power's first career loss at home. So, I mean, if that counts for anything. So, I don't know. You and I are kind of, we saw Tage's hat trick last year.
We had some decent success, the two of us.
Yeah.
Boys in the box had some alright success.
It's when the four of us go that there's questions.
Well, it was four of us, now three.
Three of us. Oh, when the three of us go, yeah, there's some questions. So,
but lastly, before we go,
yes,
not talking about Sabres. Do you think they're gonna go 3-1 or 4-0?
Give me 4-0. I'm optimistic.
Okay.
I think. Listen, the Islanders. You're right. They play that cheap shit. I think the Sabres beat them.
And do you think Levi gets 2 or more starts? I think he gets 2
starts.
I think he gets 2.
Yeah,
All right.
2 starts.
So,
Yeah, you can't expect more than that after starting the first 2 games.
So the final thing I will say on this podcast before we head off, go Sabres, go Bills. Or
Go
whatever.
Sabres. Yeah. Well, you're gonna say that at the end too. But
I'm going to say at the end, you're right. That was kind of unnecessary, but I will have to say this.
never unnecessary.
I feel like this is an important public service announcement to make. Joe, my co-host, who was complaining a couple weeks ago about how he was going to, quote-unquote, quit our league.
Leave the league.
Leave the league next year because...
Quit was never spoken.
Because he didn't want to go to Tim Hortons because he was 0-4 and his team blew.
Listen,
I didn't say I
Open your mouth.
No. Listen,
I didn't say I didn't want to. I said I'm going to go. That's all I said.
All I want is answers to the questions. What's your team record right now?
2-4.
What are you in the league right now?
What am I?
You're tied for 6.
Tied for 6.
And right now, with the points for tiebreaker, he would be 6. And we have 6 people making the playoffs. So technically, Joe is
I'm
a
making
playoff
the
team right now.
playoffs at 2-4.
Joe is not even in last place right now.
No.
Some team was 1-5. The person will be unknown, but they know who they are. I am 4-2, so I'm solid.
Yeah. Listen, I adapted. I overcame. Made a trade. Jerome Ford for Adam Thielen has worked out insanely in my favor. Was a little nervous because Adam Thielen had a couple good games, could have faltered off, but his floor is so it's high, honestly, with that team and the way it is. He's a easy target for Bryce Young. And then added Devon Achane. Unfortunate he's on IR right now, but that's a piece that comes back and effectively can help win games at the end of the season. Saquon Barkley's back. He got 10 points last night because the Bills' defense kind of shut him down, but he'll be a 20-point runner for a lot of games as he gets healthier and more accustomed to the game. So, yeah, we are turning it around a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how the season ends up. But last night there was some good games going on. And Dom mentioned before the show he's in the market for a trade with me, so we're going to see what we can make happen. So
yeah, well, it'll be an interesting week.
Our buddy Greg is hounding me about a trade right now, so we'll see what happens.
It'll be an interesting week. It's 3 brothers matchups. I'm playing my brother Jeremy. The producer Michael is playing our brother Patrick, and you're playing your brother Jake.
Yeah.
So it's a brothers bowl in week 7. And
yeah, brothers.
Lots at stake after. Oh, also. To end this, and then we could, you could go into your conclusion. I did beat the producer last week in fantasy.
Yeah, he did. Last night, Tony Pollard saved the game for you.
Tony Pollard's 7-point the scample on the catch and 60-yard run got the apartment a little loud, but yes, was able to pull out the win there. Very proud of my team's effort. Unfortunate for the producer as he falls to a record I won't name, but yeah.
Yeah, I smell a 1 in 5. I'm sorry. I apologize. Anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast. Wild show today.
As one would say, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate that it has to end. But, we'll be back with you on Friday for some betting on the Bills. We'll talk more about... No, I'm not even going to mention Bill Belichick. We got to end this. Right, so, without further ado, I'm Joe Callie. I've been joined by Dom Loss. And Dom, how do we always end these, buddy? Oh, yeah. And thank you to our producer. Sorry, I got to get in the habit of doing that. Going back and forth between the StreamYards throw me off. But Dom, how do you always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills and go Sabres. Let's go.